Welcome! Oh man, I wish that was a little bit longer.
Welcome, guys, to the very first Home Church 417 podcast, Man Cave edition. Um, this is going to be where we just kind of hang out and talk about sports and events that are going on here in Springfield. And we may or may not have guests on this one, depending on what's going on. But this is kind of our just laid back, goofing around, not so serious series.
And if you have the time to acknowledge the beautiful background that is on your screen at the moment, it is one of the hosts, Man Cave. You see the Cardinals, the Chiefs. That is authentic Man Cave right there. Zach, tell us a little bit about that beautiful room right there.
That is my personal man cave right there. So if you guys ever come to our house for a young adults event like a game night or just happen to come over and watch the Chiefs or Cardinals game, that is my personal man cave. So it took me and my wonderful mother-in-law about a week to paint it and make sure all those lines are straight, and then my fabulous mom uh, gave me those couches that you see, and then that ottoman. Again, my mother-in-law Marcy made for me, along with those curtains and everything else. So
And what you don't see are the two TVs that are in there. So just in case the Green Bay Packers and the Chiefs happen to be playing and the wife wants to watch on one TV.
right, yeah.
Or
There's a couple gaming consoles hooked up to them, and during preseason for the Chiefs, the Cardinals were also playing mid-season. So there was a few times where Cardinals would have a late game and then Chiefs were on. So I threw up both games at the same time.
for those of you that may not know, uh, both of us are huge Cardinal fans. I too enjoy the Chiefs, but not as much as Mr. Zach Nash. Baseball's more my thing. So we will be dropping in some Cardinals in the off season of the Chiefs, so on and so forth. We unfortunately just signed John Mazalok to another contract extension, so the Cardinals chatter may be kept to a minimum out of my mouth. So
And it last season was, kind of talking about the Cardinals was very, how do you say it, bittersweet. It's with Yachty and Pujols retiring. I grew up watching both of them, and my first game was with Mark McGuire back in the day. So that
welcome to the jungle kicked in, crowd went crazy.
yeah, it was definitely a good time. So over the past, let's see, my first game was back in '95. So it's been a fun ride since then. So many ups and downs during those years, but I was hoping last year we would have gone all the way for their final ride, but it is what it is.
And just a shout out to my favorite third baseman ever in the world, Scott Rowland. If you listen to this podcast, I love you, and I am so grateful that you're in the Hall of Fame now. If you ever listen to this and you want to stop by and be on it, don't worry, Scott Rowland. We will not
all day,
stop
every
you.
day. Yeah, we will gladly sit down and talk to you.
But enough about the Cardinals. How about them Chiefs? Turn down for what?
Dude, it was insane. The fact that we were able to come together as a church and watch it last week, and the empty nesters and the men's group came together and was able to host it, and we presented Michael early Sunday morning that his trophy for the fantasy football, but just coming together and being able to watch it as a group, and we rented an 85-inch TV, so that was really really cool too. And of course, being a huge Chiefs fan, I posted up right there in front of it and didn't leave other than to grab some food and go to the bathroom maybe once or twice.
So Michael was the winner of the league this year, and just to give you the hustle amount that Michael, I'm currently looking at the league feed for our the base camp group, and Michael made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, he was on a roll trading. This man,
It was nonstop all season long. So about halfway through the season, as being your commissioner over the league, I was starting to think maybe we should put a cap on these trading and picking up and free agencies. But uh, the dude didn't really trade that often. It was more just picking up stuff off the waiver wire, which was pretty crazy. But he would pick somebody up and then drop somebody, and then 2 seconds later he was picking that person right back up again just to see how his team was doing. He put in the work, and uh, definitely it's a kind of I'm kind of salty about it because he beat me in the Super Bowl, but he definitely put in the work and deserves that win this year. So
how on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think the downslide started for you?
for the fantasy, it
Yeah.
was week 11 when I actually first faced uh, Michael. I was on a 10-game winning streak and started getting cocky. Uh, almost ordered a plaque saying, final or fantasy football champ, undefeated, perfect season, and threw my picture up on it. And then, that Sunday hits, and boom, here comes Michael just running out of gates. And unfortunately, I had the Chiefs had a bye week that week. Or no, they didn't. They just played the Bengals. I think is what it was, if I remember correctly. I'm not entirely sure. I should look that up. But either way, my guys didn't perform the way they oughta, and just had a terrible week, and then went on a 3-game losing streak. I believe is what it was. So it was Michael, Leonard, and Brett that beat me. So it was not a fun time, but ended up making it to the fantasy Super Bowl, and then Michael clutches a couple wins, and
So this is a recap of Week 11 when the trajectory started the downward motion for read option against Long Tan and Handsome.
great names by the way.
So Lamar Jackson didn't do so hot for you.
Mm-hmm.
Dak Prescott actually showed up for Long Tan and Handsome. Let's see here. Receivers were pretty. Oh wow, that's where the difference was. Mr. Claypool got you 3 points, while Devontae Adams got Michael 34.
Yeah, he popped off that week.
But Travis Kelsey got you 36, and Schultz only got Michael 5. But Carter got you 2.70 points, while Cooper got Michael 32.
Right.
So that's.
You know,
But it was 128 to 133, so it's not
was-
like it was a
close.
blowout.
Yeah, that Monday night had me, you know, clutching to my seat and puckering a little bit, but it was a good game. Kelsey showing up like he normally does, and uh, just like he did in that Super Bowl win. So it was a good time. You can't bet against either one of the Kelsey brothers, and it was bittersweet given getting that close and then having to lose. But I mean, I think that's how it is for everybody that loses. You got to lose with grace and dignity and stuff like that. So
And, I mean, I'm not saying that those guys haven't fought and gotten injured for their money, but at the end of the day, if you didn't make it to the Super Bowl, Dak Prescott is still making millions of dollars to sit
Right.
and watch it along with us. So
yeah,
my heart doesn't go out too fondly for them. The one heart that does go out for is poor Leonard. And
with Tua, man.
oh, poor guy.
And
Leonard, I
then
just so happy for him at the
right.
beginning of the season, and the bell gets rung about 3 or 4 times, a little too hard.
I'm just glad that everything's fine with Demar and Tua and everything like that this year. It was a scary ride. There was uh, a few way too many close calls and some stuff that I didn't fully agree with, and it took a little too long, in my opinion, to call that game with Demar. But it, you know, they did what they thought was right at the time, so I can't argue with them too much. But I mean, everybody came out safe and stuff like that. So
And I'm sure as a Chiefs fan, seeing what happened to your ex wide receiver down there in Miami probably didn't hurt your feelings that much either, did it?
no, not that bad. I mean, Hill's a great dude, but I mean, you you can only go as far as you can go with what you have. So, and I mean, you don't sleep on the Chiefs, man. You just don't do it. Everybody was doubting us and saying we weren't going to go anywhere at the beginning of the season. We lost Hill. You know, you never doubt the Grim Reaper and his targets, and just don't sleep on the Chiefs, dude. You just don't do it.
Other big news in the offseason, we have Derek Carr potentially leaving Las Vegas. You got a possible open spot up. They letting the backup guy do that, or because it's Las Vegas, they going after star power?
I don't know. Uh, I saw that they did release him last week, but I I honestly don't know what they're going to do. They have uh, a few good slots for the draft this year. They're decently high up there, so uh, I could see them trying to get a star power. I don't know who would be open to it. The only person that I can think of at the moment would probably be Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how I'd feel about that, considering my wife is a huge Green Bay fan. But I don't know. I could see him possibly going to Vegas.
Next question. I'm very curious. Do you think that Brady is actually retired, or do you think Brady is retired for Las Vegas retired?
That's a good question. I'm hoping and praying that he's actually retired. I used to be a huge Brady fan, and then, as you well know, some stuff happened in my life, my personal life, that I was very turned off by anything and everything that had to do with that person. And he was a huge Patriots fan and Tom Brady fan. So I just, to clear my mind and make everything right, I just kind of cut all ties with everything, and that included, his sports team and stuff like that. So came back home, and it was just easier to transition to the Chiefs. A, because 95% of my family is Chiefs fans, but also it's just really easy to get on the bandwagon when Mahomes and Kelsey and everybody are popping off. But
Well, see, that was my thing. I born and raised a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I had the Jerome Bettis jersey when I was a kid. I remember Cordell Stewart was. It was a big deal because Cordell Stewart, I mean, along with Michael Vick, that was one of your closest black running back or quarterbacks that did the running out of the
right,
pocket
yeah, yeah,
style. And I think we all know the history of Cordell Stewart kind of went down in a fury of flames, but Jerome Bettis and all of that stuff. And my dad was always kind of a in and out football guy, and a lot of my close family, Kansas City Chiefs fans. So there was always that whenever Pittsburgh would play Kansas City and in the
right, yeah,
playoffs and stuff. And uh, I just kind of I was like, man, I'm one of those guys that if first of all, if I get something, I want to buy it in person. I don't want to buy it online.
right,
And there's not a whole lot of places that sell Pittsburgh stuff. So it was the year after the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl and lost to Brady.
hmm
Came back and lost 4 in a row, and I was like, okay, now's the time to transition into a Chiefs fan because they're on the low. They're not looking so hot. And then, like, as soon as I became a Chiefs fan, they started the winning streak again. So it was kind of nice.
right. So no one can call you a bandwagon.
I mean, they probably could, but
But I mean, maybe you're a lucky charm when you came on board. They started winning. So
it's just fun to look at Patrick Mahomes. It reminds me of our generation's Michael Jordan. Like I
Right.
know
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
LeBron James, but I don't view LeBron James. I mean, well, that's another topic for another day. But I mean, Patrick Mahomes, you could see it with the ankle. He wanted to be on the field. He wanted to be the one pushing the team. He
Right.
wanted to be out there. And to me, it's kind of like our version, our generation's Michael Jordan. I mean, it
Right.
really is. He's just phenomenal. He goes out there and makes it look easy,
Right.
and he's not letting all of this endorsements. I mean, he's got his brother and his crazy wife, but um, which I say that jokingly. I've never met him, so but I mean, yeah, I mean, it's just fun to watch him play football.
It is. It's never a dull moment when he's on the field. Whether he's scrambling or doing his left arm, side arm, anything. That dude's just got a passion for the sport, and it's just fun to watch. So, I mean, it's a good time just overall, and you know, just a lot of fun to watch.
So now we made comment about the man cave and what wasn't in the picture, and you mentioned that you had a few gaming consoles. Since this is a man cave edition, and a lot of the gentlemen in this church do have gaming consoles and enjoy gaming, whether it's a computer, whether it's an actual gaming console, what is Zach Nash's preferred system?
I have, since I was very, very young, my dad actually owned a PS1 back in the day in the early 90s.
Good man. He
So,
raised you up with God and a PlayStation.
yeah, he
That's
did.
just
So my very first game was on the PS1. It was a Toy Story game. So I think it was Toy Story 1. You got to walk around Andy's room as one of the little toy soldiers and do different missions and help get Woody and Buzz locked out of the toy chest and all that fun stuff. So I remember playing that for hours, and then we eventually got to the PlayStation 2 and played Final Fantasy X for a fat minute. Couldn't tell you how many hours I put into that game. And then just eventually kept growing up and buying more and more PlayStation stuff. I just love the exclusives that are on the PlayStation that you can't get on Xbox. Never been a real PC guy, mainly because I mean my hand-eye coordination is decent, but it's different holding it in your hand versus clicking buttons, in my opinion. So it's just personal preference. I
and
know,
it's extremely easy to turn a console on and then just hit X.
right?
And it,
Versus having to log in and all that fun stuff. No, no hate to the
yeah, no,
PC guys.
the
They're
PC. I mean, it's beautiful. It's
the things you guys are doing with towers and monitors and stuff like that. I
exactly.
mean, pristine. I've seen beautiful, beautiful setups and stuff like that. I
And the
mean,
graphics. I mean, the
oh,
graphics are beautiful.
bar none. But there's just something, in my opinion, holding a controller in your hand and then hooking it up to your TV and just watching it through, you know, 4K, 8K, whatever you have is just next level in my opinion. So I mean, that's a debate we could probably go on for hours, depending who you're battling and stuff like that. But it's all personal preference, and everybody just loves gaming to game and stuff like that. So the fact that we're even now able to cross-platform and stuff like that is amazing. So it's really cool to see how far we've come just in gaming alone. So going back 30 years to now, watching games and stuff like that evolve is really, really cool.
So on your consoles currently that you have, only one game you can play. Only one game you can play on repeat. And it's the only game you get to play. What game you picking? On any of your consoles.
I would say on my Switch, it's probably anything to do with Mario. So like Super Smash Bros. Is really, really fun. I would probably say it would have to be Super Smash Bros. On my Switch. On my PlayStation, it would be any of the Assassin's Creed or God of War games, which aren't probably very church friendly or anything like that, but
I
it's.
know where my heart's at.
I would definitely probably have to say that God of War edges out Assassin's Creed by a little bit, but their storylines are epic, and the new graphics on all of them are phenomenal. So, but it's just amazing storyline, and the history behind all the games are phenomenal. So I don't know if you've played all of them or not, but
Oh, yeah. Yes, love every single one of them.
watching, Kratos is the main character, so watching and playing through his background to now watching him become a father with real emotions and battling through that, and the loss of his both of his wives and his first kid was really really cool. So
The one thing that got me, which I knew, like the second one, uh, Ragnarok, which I knew it was going to be emotional because, I mean, you play through the first one and there's just so much turmoil and stuff
right,
between the two of them. Uh, and then the first opening scene, and it's not even giving anything away in the game because if you turn the console on, you're going to have to go through it anyways. So the very first scene of the game is whenever he's sitting in the campfire in that cave waiting for Atreus to bring the deer back, and he's
right,
just kind of reflecting on everything, and he holds his wife's bag that had the ashes in it,
yeah,
and he just kind of looks at it, and he starts to get teary eyed, and like his eyes well up, and you've never seen him show any emotion except anger, really.
right,
And so you see that, and that was the opening scene of it, and I was like, oh no.
yeah. I could tell from that it was going to be an emotional ride throughout the game. So to see him actually evolve not only as a person but as a dad was really huge, especially as a guy that has been hoping and praying to become a father myself, and will eventually get to that point. But just to see him evolve as that and become a huge inspiration to Atreus, which is his son, was really really cool to see.
I think one of my favorite little moments that they have is whenever Ragnarok goes down and they are uh, what's the name? What's the name of their heaven where Odin
Oh, Valhalla.
Valhalla? Whenever they're in Valhalla and Artreus looks at because those villagers are there, and Artreus is like, it's just a side effect of war. You got to kill people and harden your heart to it. And Kratos puts his hand on his shoulder and he's like, no, I've been telling you wrong.
Yeah,
Like,
don't
you've
change.
got a
Yeah,
soft heart. Don't let him take that from you. That
right.
part was pretty cool.
Yeah, that moment got me. And then towards the end of the game, when everything went down, I don't want to give too much away, but when they were up in the cave, yeah, that got me. That got me pretty hard too.
Another game that it's my favorite. I'm going back through it right now is Red Dead Redemption 2. And that was the first game that I ever played that really made me cry. And it's going to sound silly, but man, the story to that one got me.
I haven't. I'm not entirely sure how far I've played through it. I would say probably 2/3 of the way. I would think through the story. I'm not entirely sure. It's very very long from what I've heard, and I know the ending of it. Unfortunately, because it's been out for a fat minute
Yeah.
now, but I have yet to reach the ending. But it's definitely on my to-do list.
Mm, I mean, I think it kind of goes without saying that your basic sports games, your Maddens,
Yeah,
those are on the top of the list. The only problem with those are they get kind of,
they can. You can get burnt out on them really quick, especially if you're. For me, it's I get them while we're watching football, like mid-season of the NFL, and so I'll be watching games every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night if I can, and be grinding on Madden, and then you kind of get burnt out on football real quick. So that's why I didn't buy it this year. I didn't want to get burnt out like I did last year.
that's what I started doing with the MLB because it's just the same thing. Like every year, it's the same. They twist something up a little bit. The
Right.
uniforms are different, but they say that it's all changed, and then
Yeah.
you get it, and it's like pretty much the same thing.
They changed the mechanics a little bit, but that's about it. And I mean, the numbers and the rookies are in. The new rookies are in there, but a lot of it's pretty much the same. So
Are you online, or do you prefer story mode? Keep to yourself.
It depends on the game. A lot of it I prefer to keep to myself because um, I'm more of what you would call a trophy hunter, depending on what I'm playing. And if you do a lot of that online, you don't get to unlock a lot of those trophies. So it's to me, it's just kind of gratifying to watch that achievement unlocked or that trophy pop. So I have been lately grinding the new, or I say new, it's new to me, The Last of Us 2. So it's a zombie game that came out in, I want to say mid 2020, but it has kind of slipped off my radar there for 3 years, and then finally, PlayStation had a sale on it, and I bought it, from my Christmas money that one of my friends got me. So got it for $9, and I've been grinding that for, you know, the past 2 days. So
And that's one thing that I forget about all the time are the trophies that you can unlock for the game.
right.
And you have any 100%ers?
Oh yeah, I have. I think 5 or 6 of them now. So
Two of them, name it.
uh, the Order, which is a very short game, but it's kind of a steampunk era game to where it's, let's see, it's steampunk meets Van Helsing kind of thing. So you're going around and fighting monsters and demons and stuff like that. And I beat it in 6 hours. So it's a very short game, but it's a lot of fun. So you go around and just collect a few different weapons and stuff, and you get trophies for that. But a lot of it is just, you know, completing the story mode. So, and then new games are doing that New Game Plus. How do you feel about that?
It's my favorite. Like, the first one that I actually experienced New Game Plus was the God of War, and I bought it. It was like you. It was a discount. It was like $5. I was bored looking for something, and I had seen it whenever it first came out, and I was like, maybe not. Like, uh, because at the time Valhalla came out.
Oh yeah, the Assassin's Creed
The
Valhalla.
Assassin's
Yeah, yeah.
Creed. Well, I mean, the God of War is more like these mythical characters and
Right.
trolls and stuff. And at the time, I was watching the TV series Vikings,
Ooh, okay,
so
yeah.
I was like, well, it's kind of like it, but it's not. So I'll stick with Assassin's Creed. Well, I mean, there's so much to do on that game that
Oh
you
yeah.
get sidetracked. Well, I got bored one day. Uh, Probably whenever I had COVID because I've had them, all of them, every single one of them, name them, I got them. But one of those times I had to stay inside, and I think it was whenever I got that, and it seemed like it was fun, and I beat
Hmm.
it, and I liked the story, and then I was like, "What's this new game plus?" So I clicked on it because I was gonna play it again no matter what,
Right.
and it had all of my old gear and stuff that I'd worked hard to get, and it's like, okay, so that was not all for naught, you know?
Right. I mean, you get to keep all your items. It just basically jacks it up a difficulty a little bit. So you keep going from where you were at, but basically play the story mode over again, and everything's a little bit harder. So it's like going from easy to medium, or medium to hard, or you know, hard to expert, or expert to god level. I think is what they call it. Their extra hard modes. So it's it's a fun time if you haven't ever played a New Game Plus version of anything. But yeah, it's good stuff.
It's like it reminds me a lot of whenever you could play NCAA
Oh yeah, yeah,
football or basketball, and you could bring that guy over because 2K was it 2K? I can't remember. I know the show does it, but you could bring your character from a previous
game over
story,
to
which made
yeah,
no sense to me because it's like, why would you pay $69 to bring your guy that you've already completed the game with over? But um, yeah, whenever you could bring your college guy, your guy that was playing
right.
college, and you can
Move
put
them
him
over
in
to the
Madden, that
NFL.
was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that was cool. I remember doing that a few times. Um, cool thing about Madden too is that if you keep buying consecutive years, they keep giving you more packs and stuff like that to open for my Madden team and stuff like that. So, granted, I've bought every single one except for this new year from I think 2018 to 2022. So by the time I opened up 2022, it was a fat amount of packs that I got to open up for my team and stuff like that. So I immediately started out with a overall ranking of like 85, which is pretty good starting out.
I seen a thing yesterday. I was kind of scrolling around, just looking at the games and stuff on PlayStation, and they've got EA's got a thing now where you pay monthly to an EA Sports, and you get the library of all the Maddens, any
Huh.
EA game, and it gives you a discount on buying them.
On the new stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So
I hadn't seen that yet. I've seen a bunch of different games coming out to where they buy subscriptions like Fortnite's doing, to where you get a monthly subscription and it gives you, a skin or a bunch of credits or something like that a month. But I hadn't seen one doing it like a library, so that's kind of cool.
yeah, do you have the PlayStation where you can go back to the archives?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I have the PSN.
so now I've been hesitant on doing that. What's the what to you as somebody who obviously is a PlayStation guy like me?
Right.
What are the perks of paying that extra?
I do,
I mean, obviously you've got the games.
right. Uh, I do the yearly subscription, which is I think 100 and something
Mm-hmm.
for the year,
110
something like that. But it saves you a little money versus doing it monthly. I think it's you know 40 or $50. It saves you a month after doing the math. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But uh, there's certain games that you can go back from now that they have the PS5 and it's backwards compatible and all that fun stuff. But I have the 4 still because I can't justify buying the 5 yet.
Caitlin.
Okay, well, my wife won't let me buy the 5. Let's be real. Um, uh, but my 4 still works decently well. It's a little slow and all that fun stuff, but I mean that comes with any old technology. It's not old, but a little outdated.
Mine sounded like it was getting ready to do liftoff the other day when I was in the kitchen. I was like, "What in the world is that noise?" And it was my PlayStation 4. I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, mine doesn't sound like that yet. Luckily, I would think it would with how much I just leave it on and have a bad habit of pausing games and then going to sleep or going to work. But uh, anyway, I can't justify buying a 5, but the fact that all of them are backwards compatible to answer your question to where you buy the PlayStation subscription and you can go back and play games from the PlayStation 1 and 2 and 3 on one console is really really cool. But it's just a fun time playing all the old school games that you grew up with and stuff like that. So, yeah. So, um, going full circle now that we'll take a break from talking about video games uh, and kind of talk about what's going on in town this week here in Springfield. Uh, we just got a new bricks and minifigs store here in Springfield, which is a Lego store for all those young kids that are playing with Legos and even some of us adults that grew up on Legos. Their grand opening was today. So they buy, sell, and trade Lego sets and bricks and minifigs. So I don't know if they're one of the stores that will let you customize your minifig to where you can make it yourself or anything like that. I haven't done a whole lot of research, but hearing them on the radio all week long and stuff like that sounded really, really cool. I know they're having a grand opening party, I believe, from 11 till 2 today. Unfortunately, it's, a little after 1 now, but, until 2 p.m. is kind of cool. And I think they're open until 6 today. So may or may not have to go check that out. But uh, getting back to your question, it was definitely cool, going back and playing all the old school games that you grew up on.
I think one thing too about another thing about the console is it's like, you were talking about, it's just nice to have like the remote. I think it's because like that was, as a kid, you had if it was a Nintendo, Atari, whatever
Right.
it was kind of a remote type thing. Um, Not only that, man, but I mean, some of those computers. Ooh,
Oh yeah, they're not cheap, and you can, depending on what you do with your system, you can end up you know paying way more than it would be to buy a system. I know a few guys that have built custom systems and they've dropped almost 3 to 4 grand on it, and other guys have bought the new PlayStation 5 and it's only been like 700-800 bucks. So I mean, again, it's all based on personal preference and whatever you feel like doing. Kudos to you for being able to do it and make it happen. But to me, there's just nostalgia and all that fun stuff about growing up and having something in your hand. So
and for those of you, I for one, we will say that It's not that I am opposed to outdoors. I enjoy fly fishing, but for the most part, we're gonna. I mean, we'll get. I'm sure the manly men of home church, the guns and the knife talk. So it's not going to be solely just video games
oh no no
and
no
stuff like that. This is just kind of one of those things where, I mean, we didn't have another side guest set up for this. So I mean,
yeah,
it's not
it was
just going to
a
be.
this one was a spur of the moment. We're already here and we haven't fully had a man cave episode yet, so it was something that we can both relate to, playing video games and stuff like that. I fully intend to talk to Jacob and Larry about coming on and either having a preppers talk with Jacob and stuff like that. He's huge on conspiracy theories now and stuff like that, which is kind of a fun conversation. And listening to him talk and rant a little bit is always a fun time. And then Larry's very into gun safety and security and stuff like that. So that's always interesting to listen to him and get his take on home security systems and stuff like that too. So
And it's not like it's just men here at home church
oh no,
that are
yeah,
super sports fans. I mean, I think whenever we were talking to JB earlier, we mentioned Corinne. No, she's a huge Chiefs fan. Um, so it's not just the men of home church that are
no,
sports fans. I think we had, I mean, Miss Beth. I didn't get to see her Super Bowl Sunday, but I'm pretty sure she had her Mahomes jersey on and
she
was
did.
cheering.
Yeah, she goes harder in the paint than a lot of us do. So it's a fun time watching the not only just the men get excited about sports, but the women too, and just coming together as a community is fun just in general. I know we keep talking about community and stuff like that, but for us at home church, that's one of our huge foundation points is that you know find Jesus, find your purpose, and then find or in community. But that's really what all of it is, in our opinion. It's a lot easier to do life when you have people to do it with, and the relationships you build here at home church. Just for example, me and Nathan here are, I would say, almost really close to being best friends and stuff like that. I know you got other friends from outside of church and stuff like that, but I would definitely say you and Brad have very quickly become my best friends. You know, would I would do anything for you guys. So it's definitely a good time and stuff like that every time we get to hang out. So
And that's one thing I know. I hope it doesn't freak people out, but whenever I hug and tell you, I love. I mean, that's who I am. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
if I hug you and tell you I love you, it's not just the show face.
Right. It's a real thing.
It's a
So
real thing, and that was. I mean, the Man Cave podcast too is to kind of get to know the relaxed side of people, but our the actual podcast. I shouldn't say actual podcast, but the home church podcast. That's what the whole idea about that was: get to know people better.
right,
You understand that you're not in this alone, and I think a lot of people, uh, it does the heart good to know. Okay, so it's
right,
not just
yeah.
me.
I think that's where the opening door to home church name came from, is that getting to know, you know, who comes to home church and what it's really about being here, and who actually gets to come. As we've said a few times, Pastor Clayton will give us a shout out here and there, or say our names, and then people online are like, "Oh, okay, cool," but they don't know who we are on a regular basis. So, excuse me. It's really cool to have this opportunity and this platform to be able to give the people that want to talk about their lives and their past, and their testimony, to come on and do it in a fun, cool way. Whether it's on this channel or this series or the home church series, it's always a good time to just sit down and talk to people and stuff like that.
And the cool thing too is I mean, obviously Chiefs and Cardinals fans are the ones behind the mic, but we'll root for any team if it's your team. I don't think we've ever been more excited for the Miami football. I haven't for the Miami football team because I got to see the joy that it brought Leonard.
Right.
Michael, I don't know what team he's rooting for wins. So, Michael, we love you. Pick a team, and we'll root for him with you, bud.
He has very quickly become a Green Bay fan this year after the Raiders have done in 30 the past couple seasons. The guy I'm worried about is Brett. You never know what team he's going to be voting for. Lately, he's been saying the Lions, but last year it was the Rams. So he's more of like how I used to be. He's more of a player type of person, where he loves people that are really, really good, and he's more of a fan of people that are not just good players, but do good for their community and stuff like that. So you can't be angry at the dude for that. If you're liking a generally good person and rooting for them, no matter what team they're on, I can get behind that. I can respect that. So whether he's going to be, a Rams fan, a Lions fan, Green Bay, Raiders, as long as he's not rooting for Tom Brady or somebody like that. No, I'm kidding. But, we can respect it. So.
And then you got Clayton, who, I mean, he loves Notre Dame football. And, I mean, when it comes to professional football, obviously he rooted for the Chiefs. But he didn't have a whole lot of, skin in the game whenever it came to a professional football team. He was just kind of like, I'm going to root for the Chiefs. Yay.
Right, yeah. It's a lot easier to root with 95% of your congregation versus, the 5% that were Eagles fans. So,
I mean, basketball. I'm not a huge basketball fan. My sister played a lot of basketball when I was growing up, so I got burnt out on it. But I've been going to some high school games around lately. A guy that I used to work with, he is the freshman coach for Central, and watching games and stuff, and started to really enjoy the movement and the pace of basketball again. That was
nice.
Fun. So we're not. I'm not going. I shouldn't say we. I'm not going to be claim to be an expert on any type of sport.
Oh, me neither. I mean, the most that I know is the rules about football. So that's partially because I've had to study about it for the commissioner for our fantasy league, but I by no means am an expert or deserve to be on ESPN or anything like that. But I mean, I know a decent amount of rules for almost all sports. I'm not going to claim that I know anything about golf or volleyball or anything like that, but I know enough to be able to play it, but that's about it.
So, knowing what you know now, if you had to today, draft is tomorrow, who are you picking first?
Oh, just same way I drafted this season. I'm going Travis Kelce all day, every day.
All day, every day.
You can't go wrong with Travis Kelce.
So what happens if you're not number one and somebody picks Travis Kelce? Who's your number two?
Ooh, that's a good question. We've talked about drafting linemen before and drafting special teams. I don't know whether or not we do that or not, but if we ended up doing that, it would probably be what's his name? I'm terrible at remembering names when you put me on the spot, but it would definitely.
What position?
Our kick returner.
Pacheco,
Was it Pacheco? I thought it was Tooney at one point, wasn't it?
the one that kept dropping him.
No. Yeah, yeah. During the season, yes, but during the Super Bowl, he ran back for like
Oh,
95 yards.
okay.
Yeah, I can't. It was one of the two. I can't remember, but yeah, it would definitely be him. Which I mean, also comes back to a running back position, but it just. And then I would give uh, brother Kelsey a shout out too. I would love to have the Kelsey brothers both on my fantasy team. So that'd be a fun ride. But I'm not entirely sure if Jason's retiring this year or not.
No,
I know there's rumors going around that he may be, but I'm not entirely sure.
there's a lot of positions on the football field that look like no fun to me, and a center is definitely like the head of one of those positions that I would never. It would take a special brutal type of man
Yeah,
to.
it does. Being on that line is uh, a very hard, dirty position that does not come with a lot of glory. But you're you're there, grinding for those, 90 minutes to an hour and a half, whatever, however long it is. I guess it's what 4 15-minute quarters. So yeah, an hour down in the trenches, and you know, just going hard all the time, and with very very little glory. And you know, if you're doing your job right, no one's gonna thank you for it other than your quarterback and stuff like that. So
And that's the way I think. Like with Yachty, I mean, whenever the season was done, he wasn't holding speeches saying "I love you all, thank you." He was gone,
yep,
man. He was ready to call it, which deservingly so. The man's put
yeah.
in
I
his
mean, the
time.
dude's been around for years and is a legend. I mean, that's a once in a lifetime catcher right there. But yeah, rightfully so. I don't blame him for getting out of Dodge and going back home and spending time with his family. He deserves it. He's had I don't know how many knee surgeries and stuff like that. The dude's put in his time and deserves to enjoy his retirement and the Hall of Fame and all that fun stuff, as he rightfully should. So
And it was cool to see them all back together. I mean, the 2006 they were there when they
right,
won the World Series, and I remember being angry at Pujols whenever he left, and then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, the man went for money. Like, it's
right.
just he did.
You got to do what's best for you and your family, but it it's hard as a fan not to be a little judgmental, especially when it comes across that you're only doing it for the money or you're ring chasing or something like that. Granted, I'm sure there was other motives and reasoning behind for his personal life and all that fun stuff, but it's definitely cool seeing him come home for his final ride and retiring as a Cardinal. So.
What? So I want to go back to the Super Bowl party.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Let's go to the Super Bowl party for unos momentos. What chili did you vote for? Don't say the name. Do you
Okay.
remember the number, or do you know the? Say the name or the number, but I would. I just heard them talking about it at youth, and Clayton and Jamie were naming off numbers.
Okay. Um, I got a little creative since I wasn't a judge this year, and the reason why I wasn't a judge this year is because A, the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl, and B, I didn't get to watch the game until after halftime last year, which I mean is fine. I didn't have really any stakes in the game last year or anything like that. But this year, our boys were in, and I was going to be glued to that TV, so I didn't want any distractions unless I absolutely had to. But I got a little creative. I combined two of them and ate them together, and I went with I believe it was number 2 and number 10, and combined them together.
Ooh.
So that was really really good, and I may or may not have to get their recipes. That way I can put my own little twist on that. But it was a good time. So, and I have no problem telling you who they were. They were Larry's and Brett's. Brett put a pulled pork chili out there, and Larry was last year's winner. So had both of them individually, and I'm like, ooh, you know what? It's gonna be fire if I combine the two of them, and it was good stuff.
And just so everybody knows, Larry was really bragging a lot. So I hate to burst his bubble, but it also makes me giggle a little bit. Who won the chili cook-off? Huh?
Christian did.
Oh, so it wasn't Larry.
No, it was not
Huh.
Larry.
Wah,
Yeah.
wah, wah.
So, and then we had a baking contest this year too. So that was really really cool.
Clayton, whenever he said that it was like strawberries on a cloud or something
Yeah,
like that, it sounded
it's
amazing.
it's berries on a cloud. So my mother-in-law actually makes a fluffy pastry. I'm not gonna be able to tell you exactly what it is. It's kind of like a very very light fluffy pie crust with whipped cream and assorted berries on top, and it is phenomenal. Most of the time, she puts strawberries or blueberries on top of it, but it's really really good. So she'll make it for Jacob's birthday all the time because that's his favorite dessert. So really really good, and she deserved to win first place on that. So that's how she that's her love language. That's the word I was looking for. That's how she shows her love and compassion is baking and serving for other people.
So now, for those that don't know, I know who Jacob is. So it's kind of whenever you say the name and we talk about Jacob and having him on the podcast and Larry, I know who these gentlemen are.
Oh
But
yeah,
who
yeah.
is Jacob exactly to you?
To me, Jacob is my brother-in-law. So Caitlin's brother. Uh, he has very quickly become also one of my best friends and love the dude. Being able to uh, bond with him, especially since Caitlin and Jacob lost their father, I didn't have the opportunity to get to meet him, but having the opportunity to ask Jacob for Caitlin's hand was a really really cool and uh, inspiring moment, I think, for him. The fact that I actually went to him and asked him if he was okay with it and stuff like that, along with Marcy, their mom, I think was a really cool, uh, touching moment for him. That he was happy and excited to step in for his dad. So
And another thing about Jacob is for those of you that uh, don't know exactly what he looks like, he is the very tall gentleman who generally has a hat that is his father's. It's a red hat.
yeah,
He
yeah.
wears it. It's like a
I believe it's the 4 or 5 star that he got, and he likes to wear all the time. His dad and his uncle both had one, so he alternates between the two of them every once in a while. But yeah, he's normally wearing some kind of trucker hat or his dad's hat, and has served on our media team and our guest welcome team a few times. And here for Easter Sunday, I don't know if he's uh, told anybody yet or not. So sorry if I'm bursting everybody's bubble and all that fun stuff. But he will be up in the choir this year, singing up there. So, which is kind of cool to see.
yeah. He usually, as well, is somewhat around one of my best friends in the whole world, Mr. Nolan. I'd like to give Nolan, here, Nolan, this is for you. Little Nolan, giving high fives, just love his attitude. Love his
And
attitude.
Nolan is Jacob's nephew, so that's how their relationship is. Our relation is there, but Nolan's always excited and wants to come to church, and he's asked several times where Leonard with the stickers is. So that's what Nathan's nickname is to Nolan. But for some reason, he can't pronounce your name, which is hilarious to me. But he always runs around the sanctuary giving everybody high fives and hugs and stuff like that, just along with most of the kids here. So it's always a good time.
And I would love not just his testimony, but Kaylin, his wife.
Right. Yeah.
I'm so excited to get them on, and there's a lot of intertwining things that they've fought through in their life, and it would be
Right.
one that awfully excited to have on. So, uh, but I think I don't know what to. What do you want to talk about now?
I honestly don't know. I mean, we've covered sports and games and uh, touched up on some relationships a little bit, but uh, what's it like living with Brooklyn, who's not a huge sports fan? She just kind of tolerates
Oh,
everything.
she's a huge Chiefs fan. Like she's Patrick. I don't want to say Chiefs. She's a Patrick Mahomes fan, and a Kelsey fan, and she's a Chiefs fan, I guess. Checo, all of them. She's big into that. She likes baseball. Too. She was a softball player, so
Oh well, I stand corrected then. So she does like sports.
yeah,
Okay.
she does. But I mean, as far as to if you were to hand her like a football and say, "Hey, you want to play two hand touch?" Probably not gonna. You're probably not gonna get her out on the field
Fair
for that
enough.
one.
So she's not going to go out here with us and play horse or anything like that. She'll.
Well, I mean, it depends. Whenever it depends on who our little one takes over
Oh, okay.
after. If our little one takes after me, she won't have to worry about going outside and playing a whole lot. I don't. It's like I said before. I'm not a huge outdoor guy, but I've lived inside and made it to this point. So
Right.
why risk it?
So you're not. Yeah, you're not doing anything.
Yeah, you're
Too
not gonna
wrong
see me
there.
on Bear Grylls figuring out how to live. Don't worry about that. So, but no, she Chiefs are her. I think that came from her uncle. Her uncle's a huge. He went to Glendale and a football guy, baseball guy, and so she was real close with him. That kind of rubbed off. So,
That's cool.
but no, it's not. I would say if sports at the Plumley house are held to a minimum, it's because of me. Because I don't.
You don't
If
want to get burnt down on anything.
well,
Yeah,
not only that, but it's whenever you watch a Chiefs game like late at night and you get pumped up and then it's time for bed. Like I'm not a good loser, so
yeah, yeah.
therefore I don't brag about winning or anything like that. So typically I don't watch a full sporting event. I'll cut out whenever it's if we're losing and I can leave on a good play or something
Yeah.
like that, but
You're normally out at the seventh inning or right at the end of the third. So
yeah, unless it's an earlier baseball game, but I mean they just play them so and when it hits 7:30 anymore, nope, I'm out.
but to a lot of people that seems like you're dipping out really early. But I mean, you got to go in it to work at what, like 3 a.m. or something like that.
Well, in 2 weeks that's getting ready to change, but yeah, as of right now, got a new job. Friday actually
Nice,
went in
congratulations,
for an
man.
interview Thursday and was able to sit down with the owner and really get a vision for what he was looking for. And he's a godly man, godly business, and he's just looking for somebody in the front that is willing to display that as well. And so
Nice, that's cool. Well, I think that's pretty much it that I can think of, unless you got something else.
that's JB mentioned it on the regular podcast
Oh
that
yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
do that there is men's encounter coming up. He had some of the specifics on it, but
Yeah,
he said
this
Nathan Winfield would know.
the stronger
There you go.
the stronger men's retreat that James River is putting on. I don't remember the dates.
April, the last weekend of April. Didn't he say like the 28th, 27th, 28th, something like that?
Yeah,
It was in April, the
Yeah.
last of April, but Nathan Winfield went in and got a bunch of those tickets.
Pre-ordered 20 tickets. 5 slots are already filled. It's first come, first serve. If you go on the James River site, it's 300, but we got it down since we ordered 20 of them as a group package. We got it down to 100, which is a huge discount. And then, James River always puts on a good show and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
can't
well,
go
I
wrong.
think whenever one of the Super Bowl commercials, James River. Well, it may have been before the Super Bowl, or but they were showing like the stage and the crowd and stuff like.
Right.
They had a commercial on it. And it looked crazy, like
Yeah.
crazy good in a good way, not.
Well, I shouldn't say they put on a good show. They go all out for what they do. They hold any punches or pull any, hold back anything when they're serving God. So all love for them. And then we have base camp coming up in October. So I know JBA talked about that on the other series and stuff like that. That's always the first weekend of October, which is always a good time, and that's how you know this last time we were able to connect and grow and become better friends. So that's always a fun time for the men. And then I know we have a few flourish events coming up for the women's ministry and all that fun stuff. So I'm not entirely sure on those dates either. That would be a question for probably Jamie or my wife. So she's on top of those. But I think other than that, that's pretty much it for this episode.
Yeah, I don't know as. Let's see here. Just the always Sunday 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Here at good grief, I can never remember our building number, but over
15. Is it 1549?
uh,
Across. I just say across from the old
across from
Hy-Vee.
Hy-Vee. It's
1549 something.
1549 West Battlefield. Here at Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Right across from Hy-Vee over here in this shopping complex next to Red Racks. So.
And I wish I could tell you a definitive time on it, but Rev's been going a little over on time lately, putting us in overtime. So
yeah, we were. He went long last week, and he was reaching all the way until 10:45, I believe, is what it was. So, I mean, it's never a bad time when Rev gets caught up in the spirit and his feels, and just feeling that Holy Ghost. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, I've been saying for weeks that we need to get Tambourine and just let people go nuts and, up there just going full gospel. But
I think my favorite moments and the ones that really do give me chills are whenever he stands up there and he goes, I know we're going long, but I just feel the Lord speaking to me, and I'm going to go ahead and make this an opportunity. And, before you're unsanctified, you're just a heathen in this world. You're not godly like we are. No, I'm just kidding. But you're like, come on, man, let's get this thing going. And
right.
You're like, you hear Rev up there say, I'm just feeling something from the Lord. And I'm like, oh, somebody's fixing to have a little bit better day.
Right. Get ready to round 3. Let's go.
But he, this morning, and another thing, too, for those of you that are listening, every Saturday morning, Rev and Jamie and I think some of the empty nesters. I know Leroy was here. Brad was here.
And, just anybody that wants to come. We do.
Caitlin was here this morning. Basically what they do is they just, for about 30 minutes, they play a song. It's kind of like the Wednesday night worship, except a little miniature version of it. You come in Saturday morning, kind of just sit where you want. If you want to walk around, pray for Sunday service, because now more than ever, you can really feel the Lord working through home church,
right.
And it's just so amazing, and it's just that extra protection from the Lord. So Sunday, 9 o'clock, 30 minutes, it's not that much for 30 minutes of your day to come up here, and hopefully that 30 minutes of prayer helps lead one life to eternal salvation.
Yeah.
So
Leonard was saying earlier that, that 30 minutes got his mind right, and he was, ready to tackle the rest of his day. So, I mean, it's not a big ask to come up here and pray for 30 minutes. I mean, it could seem kind of overwhelming, like, what am I going to pray about for 30 minutes? But they give you a list of everybody that's serving that week and, what songs they're doing and stuff like that. So, I mean, they kind of give you the stepping stones to, who to pray for and what to pray about and all that fun stuff. So it's really cool. And then if you love doing that, the next step maybe would be serving on our prayer team. I know they're always looking for more members, and you can never have too many people praying for you or, stuff like that. So we have a great set of team members praying and battling for people that I believe don't get enough credit. So they're the ones really behind the scenes battling and stuff like that, and the stuff that you don't get to see every day. So it's cool watching that team grow.
And we do not have a Wednesday night service for like worship and prayer. We don't have that every month. We have it once a month. It's the first Wednesday of every month. You want to get your prayer and worship on. 6:30 is whenever it starts. 6:30 ish, 7. Um, Sometimes people get in here and we get to talking, and we set the 5 minute countdown a little bit later than normal because people are still showing up. Sometimes you got 30, 40 people here. Sometimes you got 5 people here, but it's just people gathering together for prayer. So that'll be coming up. We're nearing the end of this month. And on the Wednesdays that we are not doing the prayer and worship, the other 3 of the month, we have the youth night, youth ministry here at the church, 6:30 to 8, 8:30 ish. Just again,
8-ish, yeah.
we get to talking and you know having fun, and kind of drags on. So I wish I could give you a definitive time and tell you it was for sure done at 8 o'clock. I wish I could tell you on Sunday that service was for sure done at 10:30, but whenever the Lord gets a hold here at home church, He's done a great job of just working and flowing. So
Right. Yeah.
again, we can give you roundabout times, and we'll give you starting times. The ending time is not defined by us. So
Yeah. It's a loose 10:30 ish is when we normally get done. I can give you an average of when we get done, but depending on how the Holy Spirit and God and is moving and stuff like that, we're definitely not going to stop just because everybody's getting hungry. So it's all what we can do for the Lord and bring people closer to Him. So it definitely is not a hard time. We got to be out of here. So
well, folks, I believe that is all for this edition of Man Cave. Zach, you got anything else that you want?
I don't. For those of you, we'll just bring it full circle and going back to the photo, because I have been asked a few times by some of the young adults why those custom pillows over there on that couch have an 89 and a 91. It's not my football jersey numbers or anything like that, or my favorite players. Nash is my last name, and 89 was the year Caitlin was born, and 91 was the year I was born. So that's a fun little shout out, in my opinion, to Caitlin and I. And if you were at my house and pan to the right, there's a house divided sign that has Green Bay and the Chiefs on it. So it's a good time.
We kept that out of the picture for a reason, though.
Yep. But again, thank you guys for listening. And if you guys ever want to come on and talk about sports, or just come hang out with all of us, and me and Nathan, by us I mean me and Nathan, and just talk about what's going on here in Springfield, or you have an event coming out and then you want to talk about the community aspect of it, we'd be lucky and more than happy to have you guys come on and talk about it. So thanks for listening. We love you guys, and stay blessed.